Okay, so today is about modifying the ribbon. We've got several resources to work with today, but let's begin with downloading this one here called the Ribbon Editor. Oh, you'll notice here we have homework that is to be determined. I have finally determined it. I have determined it to give you 10 points for doing absolutely nothing. So, glad I could help. So in fact, I've already awarded those points. That assignment was a placeholder for a tool that we used to download called the Office Ribbon Editor or something. Anyway, and it was probably written around 2007, maybe 2008, and it was just getting to where it was getting difficult to install. You had to install some other software to support it. It's kind of older stuff, and I finally gave up on it. I thought we got to figure out some other way to do what we're going to do in class today. And when I finally got around to that, which was this morning, come to find out someone else has picked up that old project and has kind of re-brought it up to current standards. And so that's the one we're going to do. So the homework I was going to have you do, we're going to do right now in class. And it will take probably all of about 30 seconds. So you are going to follow the link to the Ribbon Editor, which should take you to a GitHub page. So GitHub is just a place where people share code. Click on the button that says latest release, just to make sure that we have the right one. And then right down here, we have the tool that we're gonna download. You can either get the Microsoft installer, the MSI file, or what I recommend is just downloading the .exe file. It doesn't require any installation, but you should be able to just download that file, save it, and once it's downloaded, you should be able to run it. Now, when I run this, it'll probably prompt me, oh my gosh, you just downloaded an executable file? This is terrible, the world is gonna end. The only option you have here is to close or don't run, unless you click on more information, which now allows you to say run anyway, which is what we're gonna do. So, this is a tool that is going to allow us to do custom ribbon modifications. Now, so we want to make sure that we get that up for everyone, but I'm going to give you a little background while you may still be bringing that up. In 2007, Excel 2007 is when Microsoft introduced the ribbon interface. And it was, kind of a big deal, and people were grumpy about it because we'd learned the menu system, whatever. We've finally gotten used to it. But one of the things that was looked to be really exciting was that we could modify that ribbon ourselves. And then in 2007, when we got to the documents, here's how you modify the ribbon. All of us who are developers went, oh my gosh, you have to be kidding me. You really have to do that? I mean, it was hideous. And I'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a minute. But first, I want to make sure that we've disambiguated the idea behind modifying the ribbon for your instance of Excel, which is easy and doesn't require any extra tools, and putting a ribbon modification into a workbook that follows the workbook around. Like you give the workbook to somebody else, they open it, the ribbon modifications are there. So first, let me just point you, we're not gonna spend any time on it, but let me point you in the direction of if you wanted to make a modification to your instance of Excel, the ribbon on your instance of Excel, here's how you do it. I'm gonna go ahead and get Excel open. So I'll close the founding quote. Save it, sure. So I've got Excel open here in a blank workbook, that's fine. Maybe I'll go ahead and save this. Book one, I think book one is a great name for this example, so I'll just save it in my downloads or something. I'll call it book1.xlsm. Make sure I've saved it as a macro-enabled workbook. We'll do a couple of different things with this book one today. I'll replace it. I don't know what the last book one is, but I'm replacing it. Okay, so if I just wanted to modify the ribbon for this instance of Excel, here's how I do it. File, Options, and then there's Customize Ribbon. And so here's all the tabs. I can turn off some tabs. I can make a new tab. I can put a new group into the tab. I can drag over all these existing functions. And so I can say, you know what? I've got these 12 or so different operations that I use all the time, and I'm tired of going between tab and tab and tab to get to them. I can just make one tab that's got all my favorite stuff on it. And that's kind of what this is, one of the things this is meant for. But in addition to that, you can also bring up all of your macros. There's no macros in this. Oh, I'm not sure where these are from. Oh, these must be from my add-in. What do I have? What's it called? The Data Analysis Toolkit. These look like Data Analysis Toolkit macros. But whatever macros I have built in here, I can actually put those onto my ribbon here as well. We're not going to do that, but that's how I modify the ribbon for this instance of Excel. What we're interested in doing is modifying the ribbon for this workbook so that it follows, that the change follows this workbook. Now, this next part I'm going to do, there's probably no reason for you to do it along with me. I don't care if you do it along with me, but it's not necessary for what we're going to do in the example today. But what I'm going to do is show you what makes this possible. And this is really the way that we used to have to modify the ribbon before the tool that we're going to use today was developed. The first thing that seems bizarre about this, I'm going to go ahead and close Excel altogether. And it turns out that the Excel file format is somewhat unexpected. I'm just going to open up my folder on my downloads, and I should be able to find book 1, date modified. That should show right up here at the top. What did I do? I must have saved that somewhere. I didn't think I was saving it. Let me try again. Open up Excel and reopen my book 1. Oh, I put it on OneDrive. I don't know why I put it on OneDrive. That was a bad idea. Okay, I'm going to put it in my downloads. Book 1, macro enabled. That's fine. Now I'll close Excel. And I really think I should see that here right now. There it is, book 1, macro enabled. Okay, now you'll notice that I'm showing my .xl, I'm showing the extensions, .xlsm is showing here, .exe, whatever. If you want to do this, what I'm about to show you, and I'm not sure why you would want to, but you got to be able to see your extensions for this. And so if you're not showing, here's how I do it. Choose View from the ribbon, come over here to Options, choose View here, and then uncheck the part that says Hide Extensions of Known File Types. Why would you ever want to hide the extension of a known file type? Well, I would like to hide the extensions of known file types for my mother, because if she was looking at a workbook that she made in Excel, she might think, why does that say XLSX on the end of it? I don't want it to say that. She'd like to delete that part off. There, now it just says addresses or something, without really realizing that that extension is part of what allows Windows to work with the file. But you're better than that. Not that you're better than my mother. You're more knowledgeable about such things than my mother is. And so you're okay to have that showing. The strange thing, which seems mystical and amazing about the Excel file format, is that it is actually a zip archive of XML files. I'm going to say that again. The file format for the Excel workbook is actually a zip. It's a compressed folder, a zip archive of XML files. Oh, you know what? Let me do just one more part of this example. I'm going to open this one more time before we do the magic. And I'm going to put some text, hello, and 100 in this workbook. Close it. I've got some text in here. I want to be able to see that in what I'm about to do. Okay, I am now going to rename this workbook. I'm getting rid of the XLSM and I'm changing it to ZIP, the extension for a compressed archive, a compressed folder. This seems like such a strange thing to do. So strange, in fact, that when I go to do it, Microsoft's going to say, are you sure you want to do this? That's a strange thing to do, just to change the extension. Might become unusable. Yeah, I really am sure. So now it says, okay, I'm a zip archive. I'm going to right-click this and just say extract all. Book 1, that's a fine place to do it. Show the extracted files, great. Okay, so before I do anything else, I'm going to go back and rename that file back to XLSM. So I renamed it just so I could facilitate the extraction process. Now I'm putting it back as an Excel workbook. And here then are the folders that it extracted. So I've got now a folder called book 1, and it's got some of this stuff in it. It's got these folders. Great. I'm going to come to the Excel folder. It says, here's, some stuff here for your Excel. Here's your worksheets. I'm going to come to worksheets. I have one sheet in this workbook. It's called sheet 1. Here's the information, the definition of that worksheet. I'll double click it. Looks like we've got this to open in VS Code, Visual Studio Code. And I'm going to turn on Word Wrap. If I can remember how to do that. It's like Alt-Z. There we go. Okay, this is the definition of that workbook. And if I look down here, I can see, oh, look, here's range A2. Here's range A2, and its value is 100. That's the value that I put in there. If I wanted to, I could change this to 200. Save this file, take the zip archive, recompress it, make it say .xlsm, and we'd see that change. Where is the word hello? Do we see the word hello here? It turns out it handles strings a little bit differently. The good folks that decided how this was going to work, they said, you know what? It is so common for us to have like expense reports where you have data that's repeated multiple times and even repeated multiple times across sheets. Instead of putting text into the worksheet, it's going to put a placeholder for the value of range A1. The placeholder is 0. And then it's going to have a place where it shares all the strings. It's called shared strings.xml. Here then is the shared strings, and it says we've got this, our very first one is hello. And if hello is in multiple cells, it would say hello here once, and it would have a reference to where that goes multiple times. I could change this as well. And we could save those two files. At this point, you can either say, Professor Allen, we believe you, that if you zip this back up, those changes would show back in the workbook. Or you might say, Professor Allen, we're skeptical. We'd like you to prove that to us. And re-zip this thing up and show us the changed file. How many of you are saying, we believe you, let's move on? How many are saying, I want to see the magic? This is not on the exam. Nothing from here is on, nothing from today is on the exam. So all of a sudden you believe me. There was enough of you that wanted to see this. I'm going to go ahead and do it. It will take probably all of about 30 seconds. So here I have, I'm in the book 1 folder. Here's the top level of the archive. I'm not going to go and recompress the folder that contains these. I'm going to come to this top level stuff here, select them all. Right click, send to a compressed folder. I'll call it book 2.xlsm. Yeah, I'm sure I want to change it. I should be able to now open book 2. And goodbye 200. Now it's there in the workbook. So the message here is that the underlying file structure of this Excel workbook is actually a zip archive of a bunch of different files. So what we have to do, in fact, let me just do this. Again, you don't have to do this to follow the example. I'm just going to take a look at one of our existing homework assignments. If I can find one. Any of this look like a homework assignment? Food inspections, winter 19, that's all work I've done here in class. Trying to find one that has a ribbon modification built into it. Here's one, user forms. Ashton, are you here today? We're using a copy of your file. So in fact, I'll probably just do it right here in place. I'm just going to rename this to ZIP. And for this, since we're just going to look at it, I won't even have to extract it. I'm just going to go into this zip file, and we're going to see that we have here, whereas this one at the top level has just these 4 files. This is the one I just created. Let me delete it. 3 folders. This one that has the ribbon modification actually has another folder in it called Custom UI, a custom user interface. And if I open that up, it'll tell me it's got this custom UI XML. And if I open that file, what we'll see is that here's where the ribbon modification is defined. This is what a ribbon modification looks like. Now, we can type this from scratch. And this is the way we had to do it. When Microsoft says, good news, you can modify the ribbon, change the name of the file, extract it, create a folder called custom UI. Inside that, create a file called customui.xml. Type in this XML to modify the ribbon. Hideous. I'm showing you that to know what we don't have to do anymore. But that's what we used to have to do it. And what we're about to do is going to feel a little bit onerous, but it's not this. Thank goodness. Okay. So the bad news here is that what we're about to do is really pretty difficult. The good news is, because it's so difficult, almost no one knows how to do this. So when you do this, you will impress your coworkers, your boss, even your mother. Well, your mother is kind of a low threshold. Your mom is impressed by just about anything. But your coworkers are, wow, you got tools for this, macros that you wrote here that just follows the workbook around. Yeah, that's the stuff. All right. So now is the part where you'll want to be doing this part along with me. So I'm assuming that we have created a workbook called Book 1. It is saved somewhere that you have access to it. I'm also assuming that you have successfully opened the Office Ribbon X editor. If you're having trouble getting the editor open, this is the file we downloaded from the link on the schedule today. Now is a time to tell me, because if you don't have this now, you'll be lost for the rest of the class. Maybe not lost, but you won't be able to follow the example. Okay, so let's pause and help get these, make sure we got these going.